Hello folks, welcome to Saving Miller. Got an interesting one for you today. So if you've been watching our channel and watched us put the garden in here, I know we've talked about this, but we want to put a border around here that looks good, something that's durable and gives us a clean edge from the grass. Now we should have done this the day after we put the beds in, but reality got in the way. So what I'm going to show you how to do today, we're going to take a piece of flat 1/8 inch steel. It's about 3 inches wide. We're going to turn it on edge and we're going to put a border around here. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is cut this rebar to length. So I'm going to make them about, I don't know, 16 inches long or so. Not real precise. Maybe I'll divide this one up. I'm going to go with about 2 feet. And we're going to use the rebar to drive into the ground to secure these. So let's cut these off. There's our stakes. So we've got our piece of metal on edge here, and I'm going to come back a little bit because I'm going to weld that joint together later on. But we're going to drive the first one in here, and I'm coming 6 inches off of the bed here for my borders. Drive that stake just below the top. That way you're not tripping on it or anything like that later on. I'm going to drive my stakes about every 3 feet. So if you can see, my ground is pretty soft here. So that's the reason they need to be so long. If you've got good hard soil, you could probably get by with shorter ones. Okay, now we've got our stakes in. This thing is, upright. We've established where we want it. We set our distance from the garden bed here. Drove the stakes in. Now we're ready to weld. Now, even if you think you can't weld, this is literally one of the easiest welds you could think of doing. So I'm going to put a little bead down at the bottom to hold the bottom, one at the top, and then I'll cap the top of this a little bit. So here we go. Okay. Now we just need to do that for all the stakes. There you have it. It's pretty strong. Should last for a long time. And we don't really care about the rust. We want it to rust so that it matches the color of the wood here. Stake is in, a couple of welds on there, and we're good to go. So now we just have to do all the others, and then at the joint up there, we'll weld that together. I'll show you that. For the joints, you're going to want to do something like this. I've got this butted up against it. It's square, clamped it in place. I'm going to tack weld on the outside a little bit, and then I'll put some weld on the inside. I'm going to just do the bottom here so that you won't be able to see it once the grass grows up. There, I've got a nice durable joint. Okay, ideally you would not have any square corners like this. This stuff would work better in a sweeping curve, but I have them, so I'll show you how to make that corner. So this stuff is fairly rigid, and if you're not doing a sweeping corner, you're going to have to do something like this. Keep this thing up. Okay, now that it's nice and hot, we can actually just bend it around this piece of 3/4 inch pipe. You want to make sure that you're nice and square, because that corner is going to be how it is. It's not going to move. If you get it hotter, of course it'll be a little bit easier. Try to make sure to get that thing squared up. Okay, there it is. It's ready to go on the ground. Okay folks, the border is finished. So now I've got a solid 3-inch band all the way around this. It's one continuous piece now because I welded the joints. So let's do a tool review. You're going to have an angle grinder for two things: to cut the rebar. You could cut the rebar a different way, but you're going to have it to cut the last piece at least. Need some kind of a heavy hammer, tape measure. You're going to need a square, a clamp, and the welding tools. So there you have it. I think it turned out pretty well. So now what we have to do is go along and fill in the wood chips on the inside. We're going to put a weed barrier in the little gap there, and then wood chips on top of it, so the wood chips here will just flow right out there. So I really like how it turned out. I think it's going to look great. As it ages, it's going to look like the garden beds. Be the same color, and it'll give us a nice border. So now I've got to clean up, and we got to put wood chips in there. Okay folks, I've got it done. So it took a little while, but we got this all installed here. We got the wood chips in here on the outside, and you can't actually see it, but we did put down a weed barrier, so there's a piece of cloth underneath the wood chips here so that the grass won't grow up around there. Here's actually one of the joints. You can see how that turned out. It makes a really nice tight border, and it's pretty stout, and you can stand on it just because of the way it's set on the edge the whole way around. So I really like how that turned out. Hopefully that's helpful and you can make one for yourself. Seven Miller out.